Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Pauper at the request of Patreon subscriber Player Warrior, and this is Dimir Faerie Ninjas. This looks like a pretty stock build of Dimir Fairies, and this actually came at quite an adventure. Player Warrior came to me and we did a coaching session where we worked on these decks, and more importantly, we talked about the role of cantrips in decks and how to build with them. That's your Ponders, Brainstorms, and Preordains. And Player Warrior came to me with a couple different decks that were trying to do fairy and ninja stuff, but were also packed full of brainstorms and ponders and stuff. And the reason decks like that don't work is because the point of cantrips is to have card selection over a longer game, where the point of a deck like this one is to have early advantage and snowball tempo. Like, it's just not good to ponder on turn 1, brainstorm plus shuffle on turn 2, then turn 3 play a fairy miscreant, and then hope to turn on a Ninja the Deep Hours on turn 4. That's just not what decks like this are built for. And if you're cutting cards like Fairy Seer and Snaremaster Sprite for ponders and preordains, then you simply have fewer fairies for Spellstutter Sprite. You have fewer flyers to turn on your ninjas, and the deck kind of falls apart. But we had that conversation, and we together built a mid-range deck that wants cantrips, and then we built the ninja deck that doesn't play cantrips. And I was given the option to play which one I wanted, and we ended up here. This list is featuring Oroku Saki Shredder Rising. This is just a card I'm trying out here because it's new. Player Warrior and I had our conversation about this deck 5 or 6 weeks ago, which is about my queue turnaround generally. And then it was up for recording, but Ninja Turtles was about to come out. So I was like, oh, well, there's a lot of new ninjas coming out. You want me to hold it? And so I held it for like a week and a half, waited for some results to come out. And the results are that Oroku Saki Shredder Rising did not revolutionize the ninja shell. In fact, most lists are not even playing it at all, which is really interesting because Oroku does two really important things, which is it's black, which means it doesn't die to snuff out, and it's a legend, which means it doesn't die to cast down. And as you can see, even in our very own deck, those are all of the removal spells that I play. And this is the typical removal suite for Dimir decks in Pauper because these are just kind of the best there were until Spider-Man gave us a ton of legends and now Ninja Turtles gave us a ton more. This Universes Beyond pathway where you have to feature all the characters from the TV show, that's going to result in giving us common legends in this Pauper format. Before that, I think it was just that one goblin from Modern Horizons. But being a 3-1 is worse. And black is the splash color of this deck. We have 12 untapped blue sources versus 6 tapped black sources. It's quite a bit harder to get into play. 1 toughness loses to things like Fairy Seer, where Ninja the Deep Hours can keep pushing through it. Turns out there's a bunch of real costs despite the also real upsides. And being a legend, drawing 2 of them is kind of bad. All that said, I'm still trying it today because I want to play with the new card. But we're doing it in smaller numbers, just 2 and 2 split with Ninja the Deep Hours, and when I draw one or the other, I will think about whether it would have been better as the other one. They're both humans for of 1 mind, don't have to worry about that. Neither of them are fairies, don't have to worry about that. And that's the adventure that got us here, and my thoughts on this new card for what's ultimately pretty stock Dimir Fairies. Let's do it. I'm on the draw in round 1. I have a fairy into a ninja. Even have of 1 mind to tie it all together. And already we're seeing probably why Oroku isn't seeing a lot of action. And I'm going to bottom hacker, top Spellstutter. And this Contaminated Aquifer coming into play tapped means that all of these would be worse if they were the other one. Torch the Tower, aggressive. We've got red-white gates, white-blue gates, Jeskai gates, okie dokie. Alright, I could play Spellstutter. I could cast Moon Circuit Hacker, just put it into play. I think I'm going to hold up Spellstutter. I'm going to flash it in the end step no matter what, but it might even draw a card or counter a spell here. Glyph Gate, another red-white, so the 3 possible gates it could be. I'll stutter this cat. They could kill Spellstutter in response. They did leave red up and get everything in here. Yep. But that was still a pretty good shot to take. the Miscreant. Aquifer tapped, Miscreant get in, and pass. We're in the early jockeying stages. Obviously, I would have liked to draw 3 extra cards by now, but opponent has frustratingly put 1 mana removal in their deck. Outrageous. Relic of Progenitus. My build doesn't care about that. I don't have Gurmags or Terrors or anything. I don't think I go into my graveyard for any reason, actually. I have a little bit of evidence collection in my sideboard. That's the only thing that would really care about that. Glint Hawk. A Relic of Progenitus, not exactly the sexy look you want when you're picking things up with Glint Hawk, but it does literally put Glint Hawk into play, which is a reasonable goal. By the way, I was talking with Alex Ullman the other day, who showed me that Mystic Remora is in fact legal in Pauper. That never occurred to me in my life, and it was thrilling news. Okay, here I don't have access to Ninja, but I can play a Ninja and draw 2 cards. Okay, this one is interaction, but it's very slow and bad. Is it better in play, or am I going to pay 3 mana for it at some point? I might pay 3 mana for it at some point. My opponent has not actually drawn any cards this game, other than their draw step. Like the Glinthawk and Skyfisher, when they're picking up things that draw cards rather than normal-ass creatures and stuff, they're a lot worse. They're still 2/2s and 2/3s on the battlefield, but they're not Ancestral Recall as well, which I gotta take as a win. If I draw a land here, I could do some stuff. Hey, okay. So what we're looking for here is snap the Glinthawk, play the Snaremaster Sprite with Kicker to lock down the Skyfisher, and then I can Ninja the Deep Hours. It ain't much, but it's honest work. And Glinthawk is worse than Skyfisher for them, because Skyfisher could pick up anything, even a land, if they're about to miss a land drop. But the Hawk means they can't just pop this Relic to draw a card and necessarily expect to play Glinthawk. And they could make a Treasure, I guess. Yeah, what else is a Treasure doing? They should probably draw a card, actually. I take it all back. It's there if they want it. Snaremaster Sprite. Tap and stun Skyfisher. And I don't want to trade Moon Circuit Hacker. Do I? What else is it doing? I could attack with 2 creatures next turn. Yeah, that's actually way better. And again, we see Oroku Saki. 3/1 versus 2/2. Meaningfully getting stopped by this Sacred Cat, where Ninja the Deep Hours can keep just pummeling into it. Okay, pass the turn. And I don't mind. Like, I read all the reasons this card was probably just worse than Ninja the Deep Hours. And it's still... Oh, that was a messed up draw. I still wanted to try it. And this is the scientific method at work. Testing my hypothesis that this card is worse than existing versions. And guess what? It's true. For a variety of reasons already proven in 1 game. And here comes the Ancestral Recall. I bounced the Glinthawk because at the time it wasn't very good. But now it's looking pretty good. It's going to be really hard to get out of this. Torch the Tower, Core Skyfisher, Sacred Cat. Skyfisher. Are they going to pick up something like their land? They still have a land drop, right? They pick up planes here. They could cast all the cards they've exiled. Yeah, okay. Tight. Good play. And I'm going to lose my Ninja. Smell you later. Also exiled. No chance of having a graveyard this game. And I don't want to trade with that. Okay. This game is no longer winnable. We can move on. I needed my opponent to flounder a little longer, and they didn't. I did all of that on turn 4 to get 1 Ninja through, and then they're just like, yeah, here's 7 toughness in the air, and I've drawn 4 cards. No thanks. Okay. Annul, pretty good. Suffocating Fumes can get the cats, or shrink the bigger things so I can tangle with them. Extract a Confession. If this can snag one of the bigger things, I'm okay with it. It's not very good against the smaller things. Blue Blast and Dispel. I don't think I'm playing Suffocating Fumes. Blue Blast and Dispel can counter the various removal spells we saw. And I gotta imagine they have Pyroclasm's post-board, so on a couple of these. Moon Circuit Hacker is awkward because it is one of my ways to get the engine running, but it's also very bad against every card in their deck. You know, Roku for the same reasons. I'm not going to just board it out because it's worse than Ninja the Deep Hours every round. But it is worse than Ninja the Deep Hours. Spell Pierce. I'm bringing in other ways to interact with that sort of stuff. And if this game goes long, which it will, because I don't clock very hard, and they're very good at making the game take longer, Spell Pierce will run out of gas where an all-in Blue Blast will stay strong. I feel like I need the Snuff Outs to push the aggression early. Snap might be mediocre. Maybe one counter spell. I don't know how often I'm going to be able to get the whole up blue. All right, here we go. The one lander, but it is a double miscreant. I'm going to try it. A lot of their lands enter the battlefield tapped. I'm just going to hope for at least one turn to operate here. Yeah, there we go. All right, can I get the untapped blue and make this easy? Yes, I can. Miscreant, let's go. And hold up a null for a turn versus try to get my black online. I'm going to hold up a null. This is a turn they'd probably like to develop something like Wellspring or Synthesizer to turn on all their bounce guys. Does anyone else remember the era where Faerie Miscreant was bugged and it always drew a card? That card was very good. 1 mana flying 1/1 cantrip. No restriction whatsoever. Relic of Progenitus. This is not what I want to annul, but if it turns off Glinthawk, I'll take it. Like, I wish that was a Synthesizer or a Wellspring, but I might bottleneck their hand here. And I'm untapping into Spellstutter for 3 and Counterspell. If this is worth a Red Blast, I'm into it. They just tapped and then untapped red mana. Okay, I've gotten to my turn. I'll play the Swamp, which turns on Snuff Out. I don't have any kind of engine here. I did a good job setting up, and I have some reasonable interaction, but I'm not drawing cards or pushing anything here. Yeah, they tapped and untapped red in the end step again. It's like they want to kill one of my Faerie Miscreants, but can't bring themselves to actually spend mana to do that. Basilisk Gate, this never showed up last game, but they never needed it, which is somehow worse for me. Let's win without the namesake card. Okay, no plays. And now I have double counterspell up. 1 red mana showing. I think red is the color I'm worried about. Not white, certainly not colorless. I just had this thought while I was attacking with these fairies. One time in a local Pauper tournament, I was playing blue-red fairies, and I attacked with a Spellstutter Sprite on a turn where I had 2 mana up, and I did not ninjutsu, even though I could. And then, because my opponent was obviously showing Lightning Bolt, and then 2 turns later, I ninjutsu'd it in when I had mana to just replay the Spellstutter Sprite and counter the Lightning Bolt. And watching my opponent figure out in real time that the play they lined up wasn't going to work was really funny. Navigator's Compass. Okay, this might turn on their hand. I'm going to start a fight here. I think they're going to Red Blast the Spellstutter, but now I have double layer. I could double my clock while continuing to mess with their stuff. All right, or I could just counter that. That's cool too. Ice Tunnel. The difference between the Fairy deck when there's a 2/3 blocking some of the stuff and when there's not is impossible to understate. Right, I'm not going to fight over Torch the Tower. I don't care. I'm still pushing damage. I still have double counter up. You do have to be patient with these decks because a single 2/3 blanks all of my fairies, or even a 2/2, like a Hawk or a Sky Fisher do that. So you can't just be ripping off Spellstutter Sprites on random Torch the Towers. Synth. Right, well, that's one of the best cards they have. I'll counter that one as well. Run out of counter spells here. They're on a 5-turn clock. And when you're not drawing the extra cards, it could just get so icky so fast. Every single thing this game has gone my way, but it could still fall apart because I haven't been able to continue drawing cards. Opponent's at 10. I can hardcast Snuff Out and counterspell now. I have enough lands. I've drawn the same number of lands as spells this game. But I've done what I'm supposed to do because my opponent's clearly struggling over there. Oh, that rips. I'm going to do this pre-combat in case I draw a ninja. If they Red Blast this, it's fine. Okay, Lightning Bolt Faerie in response, also fine. Snare Master Sprite. That's not what I was looking for. But it does let me continue to push damage after. Like, even if they sneak a creature into play here, I could lock it down. Killing the Spellstutter Sprite actually clever among the options because Snap replay my Spellstutter is one of the lines here. Snap becomes a counterspell in the mid-game with this deck. They still don't have anything, and now I have 2 counterspells. Miscreant's coming in. Oh yeah, we're at the emergency part of the game where they have to pick off almost anything, which means I have to respond by playing almost anything. Locking down anything here is not going to help. But having them on a 4-turn clock instead of a 7-turn clock could be a big deal. Deck, please. Why? I guess I could have snapped a Miscreant last turn, countered their removal spell, and drawn a card. That would have been pretty tight. Do I want to go that way now? Yeah, I guess I do. I should have been heads up to that last turn, though. That was a missed card draw and missed damage. Look at all this removal in their deck, though. Frightening. Navigator's Compass. I have fought this hard to turn off all of the hawks in their hand. I'll continue to throw down on that a little bit. The next one I might not be able to afford to. Oh, here we go. Finally, a useful card. A Hacker, pick up Snare Master. And we're in. Not only do I draw a card, but I get a bunch of extra damage, and now we're cascading. Hit the bangers. Hit the bangers. Another Miscreant? Pay me. Pay me. Faerie Seer. And holding anything back doesn't matter here. I'll at least play out the Faerie Seer. Bottom both of these islands and pass. Okay. I've presented lethal. I'm holding a counterspell. Yeah, this does more damage and draws a card. Ninjas are so good. Heap Gate. Breath Weapon. Counterspell. And they left up white mana. I don't think there's a white counterspell that can get them out of this here. Okay, so it's hard to know how much the bad mana hurt them. And I never gave them an artifact. They could have 4 Glinthawks in their hand right now. They also had colorless plains and then 1 dual land available all game. Never actually had a blue, which is a color they represented last game. Okay, I think cutting a Hacker might have been a mistake. The annuls were phenomenal. Or the annul felt phenomenal when I drew it. Snare Master, Seer. I think I have to cut one of the 1-drops here. I'm just deciding which one is the worst. I think it's Snare Master. Let's go. Opponent gets to be on the play this game, which means they could resolve a random artifact before I get a turn. Oof, this is a risky one. I am gonna try it, though. I think I'll trust a hand that has the ninja and just needs one of my million ways to turn it on, rather than the other direction. Extract to Confession. I'm going to play Aquifer this turn. If they sneak exactly Synthesizer through right now, that'll be disappointing. I couldn't have countered any other artifact anyway. Okay, that one I could not have stopped. So this fixes their mana as well. Like, I countered 2 of these last game. It was both an artifact and a mana fixer. Drawing more islands. Not ideal. But again, if I can stop my opponent from drawing cards, I can take over eventually. We've got red-white, white-blue, and red-white. Sure. Deck, please. There are only 11 lands left in my deck versus 39 spells or something like that. Someday I'll stop drawing them. And the fun thing about this, though, is I am looking at my hand like, oh my god, I've drawn 2 lands in a row after keeping a land-heavy hand. But my opponent sees a bunch of untapped blue mana, and they're like, what's going on with that? Right, Skyfisher can resolve. And then I will extract a Confession. That's a sorcery? That stings. I will still extract a Confession. Opponent has to sacrifice that thing. Can't Red Blast either. And importantly, that didn't draw a card. Navigator's Compass sucks compared to all the other artifacts they could be bouncing around. A Miscreant. I expect my opponent to kill this because it represents all of the ninjas in my deck. Like, my opponent has to think about, why is it turn 5 and my opponent has only played 1 reactive spell? And it's probably because my hand is full of stuff that is situational, like these various ninjas, and I haven't had a way to turn them on yet. Lembas, that's one of the good ones. Scry to the bottom. If I can get into combat with the double ninja, like if they have 1 removal spell here and they don't want to spend it on Miscreant, if they wait for me to ninjutsu, ooh, Surveillance Scam, fun. If they wait for me to ninjutsu and then try to kill the ninja, I can flip that out with a different ninja. Now I have Snap in my hand. Do I want to cast Moon Circuit Hacker? I don't think that I do. Surveillance Scam is hot tech, though. Opponent can probably read if they're heads up on it, based on how I played last game, that I don't have a null or counterspell, or else I would have fought over Lembas. Right. I am going to Blue Blast this Torch the Tower, because this is a turn where I might get an engine going. Red Blast in response. I guess I'll snap my Miscreant. Just having it is still useful to me. Okay, they are turning something another color. So we've got another layer of interaction here. Okay. My Miscreant is dead with 5 other spells on the stack. That was cool. An exciting interaction. Spell Stutter Sprite right on time. I could cast Moon Circuit Hacker here. I still don't think I want to. Basilisk Gate. And I could play Spell Stutter. I'm going to be patient. I think my opponent is floundering a little bit. And with this Sewer Valence Cam in play, I'm going to cast Hacker, which they might be incentivized to cast a removal spell on. Then I can Spell Stutter that, and then I can kind of break serve on this stalemate. Raven Charm. Destroy target enchantment. It is one of those. Yep. Done. Yeah, the Sewer Valence Cam, you can just sack it to draw 2 cards. That's the thing it does. Shuffling Lembas into the deck at 29 life. And we continue to draw go. Oh, deck. That is 8 of my, 18 lands I play? Yep. I kind of want my opponent to have to sack this Sewer Valence Cam just to draw cards if it doesn't tap anything. Yeah, there you go. Not that I like my opponent having 5 cards in hand, but having that thing out of play is nice. Relic of Progenitus, I don't actually care about. Popping the Relic to draw a card, that's fair. Still playing Draw Go. Of One Mind. Yeah, I'll just rip that off, I guess. And if they Red Blast it, I can Spell Stutter that. Alright, it just resolved. Faerie Seer. Snare Master and Spell Stutter. I don't want Snare Master. I do want Spell Stutter. My goal here is to set up a turn where I can double or triple cover a ninja situation. And, alright, well, Lightning Bolt in the end step is good enough to call this out. Breath Weapon here catches the game back up, but I have another Spell Stutter on top to rebuild. That one's good, though. Flipped Cryogen Relic. Okay, so they're unlocking a cascade of value artifacts here. Flint Hawk, I can snuff that one. Been sitting on this the entire game. Picking up Cryogen Relic just straight up draws a card. They don't have to worry about the timing on Synthesizer. And Relic's back. And a tapped land. Okay, so this is the turn I've been working towards for basically the entire game. Snuff that Hawk. Then go to my turn. I draw a Spell Stutter. I get a Ninja in, then I can Of One Mind, and I'm holding up double Spell Stutter going into their next turn. Jitsu that. They're at 29 life, though. This is a lot of work to catch up on. Drew a second Ninja. Of One Mind. And actual Counterspell. Okay, pretty good turn. My opponent had a great turn, but it involved them tapping out and giving me a great turn. We'll see who ends up ahead. Another Synth. I don't really want them to have this. I'm going to try a Spell Stutter on it, though that does tap me out of double interaction down the stretch. Right, bolting Ninja of the Deep Hours in response. That's okay. I have another one of those. I need to not foolishly tap out into a Breath Weapon or some insane thing I can't beat. Okay, it looks like they're trying to Breath Weapon in response here. They just turned Basilisk Gate into a mountain. And if they kill all of my fairies in response to this trigger, they'll still get a synth. I'm going to use actual counterspell on this. Spell Stutter would counter it if they have nothing, but it won't counter it if they have anything. If they kill my third fairy and the whole house of cards crumbles. Use your pieces smartly. Oh yeah, okay. Big turn, big turn. 1 card in my opponent's hand, but they do have Cryogen Relic and Synth that can sack to reload. Attack. Deep Hours. Also Moon Circuit. I'm just going all the way in here. Give me them cards. Yes, I'd like to draw. Yes, I'd like to draw. Of One Mind. I have exactly 2 counterspells showing right now. I could play Faerie Seer, draw 2 cards. Or no, I miscounted. Couldn't quite see the display clearly there. But finding another land here gives me double counterspell still up. Okay. Passing. And they didn't sack Cryogen Relic in the end step. Maybe the 2 lands they have didn't have blue. No, they did. Okay. Flipped Red Elemental Blast off of Synth. That one is useful. Lembas. You've got 1 card in your hand. I have 3 Spell Stutters. I'm going to go for a showdown here. I gotta hope that last card in their hand isn't useful. But I don't think it is, based on how last turn went. Okay, counter Reb. And then that gets Spell Stutter in... Oh, okay. They did have something useful. Or what's going on here? Oh, okay, they're just stunning my Moon Circuit Hacker, which is not even my best attacker. I guess they want to try to trade with Ninja the D-Powers, but I am going to punish that because I have the Snuff out. The Tide is turning if I can keep it going. Do I want to pay 4 mana or 4 life here? I mean, they're a Lightning Bolt deck. Getting burnt out is possible, but I think I'd rather just have more mana this turn in case I find something that just breaks the dam. I didn't, but that's okay. Calculated risk. Like if I found Of One Mind, which hit another spell I want to cast, and then we're off. Lembus, I found the Annul. Get it out of here. And Synth is the last card in their hand. All in, baby. Don't have a breath weapon. But I get to draw a bunch of cards this turn. I am ahead, but it could still fall apart. Stack with everybody. Stack the Ninja of the Deep Hours first, because that's a straight up draw. The other one's a loot. Like caramba. Alright. That didn't go great. Opponent is at 9, which I only have 8 power. Oh, if they rip a sweeper, I'm just in the full trash can here. Okay. That can gain 3 life. That doesn't change the clock. I'll take that. That's okay. It was going to take me 2 turns to kill them anyway. This Snuff out I'll pay the iron price on. Can I find a counterspell? Or a ninja to pick up a spell stutter? Miscreant. Doesn't matter yet. I could draw another one. Draw a card. An island. Draw a card. A Snuff out. Uh-oh. Alright, they've found another turn to draw a sweeper. I hope they don't, obviously. Navigator's Compass up to 7. That's not going to save you. I have 8 power. We did it! This was a sweet match. And this game was pretty illuminating as well. This was the game where I just played 5 lands before I cast a single spell. If I had just been jamming, there was a lot of spots in the mid game where I could have just spent 4 mana on Ninja of the Deep Hours or something, but then it would have been picked off with a Lightning Bolt, and it would have had nothing for those big turns where my opponent taps out to draw 3 cards, but then I get to push back and like draw 3 cards and add 3 creatures to my board all at the same time. And you just need to know where the matchup's going to tilt, or else you don't really, if you don't know a turn like that is coming for your opponent, which enables a turn like that for you, then you're just going to play all of your cards wrong up to that point. That is your strategy informing your tactics. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2. I do have 8 ninjas in my deck, and my hand is, like, okay, but I'm going to mulligan this. Being on the play, I just don't know what they are, or if cast down's even good against them. This hand's actually a lot better, because Faerie Seer does something, where the, what is that guy called? Snare Master? Snare Master didn't do anything in the 6, or in the 7. So I'm going to bottom an island, and then play Faerie Seer here. Opponent mulled to 5. That's creepy. Faerie Seer. Another Faerie Seer and an island. I don't want any of that shit. If that was a miscreant, I would have kept it. Haunted Mire. Of One Mind. Someday, you'll be good. Right, I'll play out my miscreant, and this is what I got to do right now. Colony Garden. Opponent's on that grind life. Cauldron Familiar. Hell yeah. Okay, here we go. A ninja, please? Nope. I'll just draw 2 cards. The old-fashioned way. Oh, good. 2 black cards. Look at this. If this was Ninja the Deep Hours, I'd be doing a victory lap, but it's not. And this extra sucks because the only black cards, or the swamps in my deck, the black sources in my deck are not tutorable and enter tapped. Miscreant, let's go. Unlock the goods. Impossible. Who would have thought intentionally making my deck worse to try new cards would come back to bite me? This is an outrage. Opponent did miss a land drop last turn, but Lembus is scrying to the top, which means they found a land. Nutrient block, that's another one of these things. Yeah, imagine a world with Ninja of the Deep Hours last turn, picking up Faerie Miscreant, drawing 2 extra cards up to this point, and it's still good enough to attack on this board. I need my opponent to flounder seriously here. Troll of Khazad-dûm, still developing those land drops. And Lembas and Nutrient Block are both food. Gotta keep that in mind for this Cauldron Familiar, which reads Sacrifice of Food to do the thing. I'll Spellbomb. Still don't care about Graveyard Hate. Okay, I mean, step in the right direction. Still not great. Fanatical Offering, off you go. Alright. Okay, tap out for Ichor Wellspring. This is exploitable. Oh no, a swamp. Alright, just mapped onto their cat. That's fine. Campfire revealed. They probably want to keep that. Yep. And I can't snuff out Cauldron Familiar, because that's cheating. Counterspell. It's possible that I've bought enough time here to do stuff. Alright, this is not ninjutsu, this is sneak, which is a little different. This is a spell. You cast it for its cost. Yeah, I mean, sneak is also just functionally less powerful mechanic than ninjutsu. That's another downside. Alright, I did just turn the corner like crazy, though. I went from no card draw and no counter spells to an interaction and triple counter all at once. I don't want this campfire around. That thing's gonna cause too much trouble for me. Eviscerator's Insight. I'm not fighting over cantrips. I'll fight over payoffs and life gain, I think. Cauldron Familiar staying home. I don't really want to trade Oroku for that. Flyers keep doing the thing. Doomblade. Actual Doomblade. Alright. I've been doomed and bladed. Doomblade must be either the 5th copy of Cast Down in the deck, or that's respect for specifically Leonardo. That's the big Pauper mover and shaker, much more than Oroku. Leonardo is a white legend that's actually quite good. Well, that card is not beatable, so I'll counter it. But Cast Down doesn't kill Leonardo. Doomblade does. Deck, please. My family is starving. All these lands. My opponent's at 3. Cast Down. Yep. I can't afford to counter that, not when their deck has Pestilence in it. You tried to bait me. I cannot be baited. Cauldron Familiar. That's in. Another Familiar. My life is so drained. Alright. Oroku. Blocking here turns off of one mind, but I have so much mana it doesn't matter. Another counterspell. They have a Lembas to get back that Cauldron Familiar if they want it. Tithing Blade. Yep. You can flip that. That drains for 1 every turn, which means I'm also no longer dealing any damage. Yeah, them stabilizing at 4, like 3 turns after ninjutsu would have kicked on for deep hours, is a tough beat. I promise I'm not going to spend this whole league just talking about how much worse Oroku is than Ninja the Deep Hours. I think the point's been made, and the science has been conducted, and the results are in. And now I'm losing the damage race. I'm not even dealing damage. And that'll do. Okay. Yeah, that game, 100% lost because I had the fun new card in instead of the proven banger. The Annul is good here. In Faerie Macabre, they have a little bit of graveyard stuff going on. Mukatai Ambusher is just a way to hit them harder. I don't think I'm trying to snap that much here. Oroku, tough, tough, tough versus Cauldron Familiar. Sorry, buddy, you're out. Snuff Out doesn't hit a lot in their deck. I mean, Faerie Macabre might just be bad, but it also might break up an engine. Alright, I'm going like this. This is kind of slow to get going, but I will keep it. And I'm going to play Snare Master on turn 1. That makes Spell Stutter better for turn 2, and I can't just hold up a null starting turn 1 for the entire game. There's not a lot of 1-drops. Like, if they get a Campfire in here, that's fine. That's pretty mana intensive and matters later, but a lot of the lands come in tapped. Counterspell, pretty decent. Nutrient Block, and I'll Spell Stutter it. Just trying to add to the board. The Cauldron Familiar matters less if they don't have food. And I'm kind of stuck. I'm still pushing damage. I still have interaction I can play, but not moving forward. Annul the Lembas. Take 1. Faerie Seer. That's awkward because I used Annul last turn instead of Counterspell, but it wasn't guaranteed that that Annul would have found another target later. And it probably would. Tithing Blade. I don't think this is worth a fight. I'm going to lose the Snare Master. And I am winning this damage race, though eventually the blade will flip and completely stabilize. Eviscerator's Insight. I don't think I can afford to fight over that. And the deck has Pestilence in it. There's limits. Nutrient Block. I think I will counter this. If they go land Pestilence, they got me, I guess. Cauldron Familiar number 2. Bajuka Bog, doesn't matter. 1 card left in hand. Okay. Contaminated Aquifer. Are we starting to do it? Okay, next turn I could play Faerie Seer without tapping out of Counterspell. That should smooth me out for a little while. This damage race is still mostly reasonable. They don't have a creature to craft with. I mean, if they want to delete one of their in-play Cauldron Familiars, they can, but I don't think they do. Stutter's in. Faerie Seer. Flip that damage race. Show me a ninja. Faerie Macabre and Ice Tunnel. I don't want any of this. They're flashing back Eviscerator's Insight. Still don't think that's a counter war I'm going to get involved with. Another one. Still not getting involved in that fight. This is a fight I'm waiting for. Drown in Sorrow. Yeah, destroy all creatures is not something I want to be playing through. I don't love that 5-card hand, but what do you want me to do about it? I'm going to Of One Mind pre-combat. That was just in case I hit like Island plus Moon Circuit. And here I am tapped out for a turn. Shields are all the way down. Yeah, Pestilence is just a Wrath here because there won't be any creatures in the end step. A mostly reasonable spot there. Faerie Seer. Moon Circuit Hacker. Okay, Snuff out to the bottom. Keep the Hacker. And I'll pass. Lembus. I think that it has to be okay. That is a food that unlocks the Cauldron Familiar. Cycling Troll. Another Lembus. This is not my fight anymore. My fight is over. Removal spells. Nutrient Block. Yep, whatever. You're already made of food. It's too late to stop that. But I've set up a pretty good Of One Mind turn. Hacker. Connect. Drew an Island. I'm not unhappy to see that. Faerie Seer. Double Miscreant. Do I want to draw 2 Faerie Miscreants right now? I don't not want that. Okay, Of One Mind. And play one of the Miscreants, leave up Counterspell. Counterspell the Pestilence. Do they have another sweeper to back it up? Campfire's not a sweeper. Okay. They gain some life off Campfire, so we're into this grindy nickel and dime nonsense game. Pre-combat Miscreant in case I draw another ninja. Or an Of One Mind that could be a ninja. Look at all these ninjas. I'm just made of ninjas. Attack. No blocks. Oh, right. You can't block. That is legal. You have a shitload of food. All right. Moon Circuit Hacker's going to die here. That's fine. I did forget, but I also still would make this play. Pick up the Miscreant that draws another card when I replay it. Spell Pierce. That's interesting. I don't think it's better than replaying the Miscreant and drawing a card, but that is an interesting object. Oh. All right. I'm not going to re-Miscreant here. This is one of my favorite cards to play with, Faerie Miscreant. I'm so bummed when I see lists that cut it. They gain 2 life with Campfire. Rot Farm picked up. Colony Garden. And I'll go to my turn. Spell Stutter, what's up? Pre-combat Miscreant. Keep them ninjas flowing. Okay, here I'm going to attack with my Flyers. I guess if they sack Lembus to kill my Moon Circuit Hacker, then they don't sack Lembus to gain 3 life. Okay, so you gain 1 life and get a trade-off instead of gaining 3 life. Yeah, the damage race is such that I don't hate making that trade. That one was on purpose. I didn't forget this time. Eviscerator's Insight. Sure. Lembus continues to be annoying, but not my fight. Thicker Wellspring, same shit. It's actually worse than Lembus because it doesn't draw, or it doesn't gain life and doesn't bring back the cat. Another cast down. It's kind of removal flooded here. But all I got to do is keep attacking for 5 in the air until they give up. I'm not going to kick this Snare Master Sprite. Just going to get it into play. Eviscerator's Insight, sacking Wellspring. Off you go. 8 cards in hand. Nutrient Block has to be fine. Campfire up to 6. I don't think I'm going to cast down this plant token. I just don't think it matters. And the only reason I would do it is to avoid having to discard to hand size. And there are enough draws where that doesn't happen anyway. Okay, they are nutrient blocking back Cauldron Familiar. I do have to be heads up about not getting burned out, because I have been taking some nickel and dime damage from these Cauldron Familiars as they come and go. And if my opponent does something like bring back 2 cats, drain me for 2, attack for 2, flip Tithing Blade, they could get through my last 9 life before I actually have it covered. Tragic Slip, huh? Does this change the clock? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only have 3 counterspells anyway, so I'll use one now. All right, that's fine. Okay. Unloading a shitload of spot removal from their hand here. If their hand is just 2 Pestilences, I have to just let them kill a bunch of my creatures here. Cauldron Familiar, getting in. Flipping the Tithing Blade. Campfire. Yeah, the drain is on here. Second Campfire, yuck. Alright, I'll fight over this. You got me on the hook. Alright, down to 1 counterspell all of a sudden. Faerie Seer. Another flyer. They're gonna have to gain life somehow here. Yeah, time to start cracking Lembuses. Faerie Seer. Hacker and Ambusher. Ambusher hits the hardest. Hacker sets me up. I can't have both of these. Okay, I'm gonna go top, but have the Ambusher first. That's the one that hits the hardest, and life gain is what this deck, or what this game is starting to become about. My opponent's passively gained a gajillion life already, and I'm working my way through it slowly. Shit. Alright, well, I don't want to play against that, but I also can't counterspell it. Okay, they're now gaining as much life per turn as I'm dealing. Troll of Khazad-dûm. Alright, cool. Finally a target for these cast downs that have been in my hand the entire game. I'll take one from the cat. Cast down Troll. And do I want to snuff out Plant? No, that doesn't matter. Draw for turn. I'm going to flip Spellstutter Sprite into Ambusher here. Put you to 1. And me back up to 9. And put a counterspell in my hand, most importantly of all. Lembas, can't stop it. Pretty soon their deck's going to be all Lembuses. Fanatical Offering. You're up to 4. You're up to 6. I am attacking for 7 right now. Mapping onto the cat. Pestilence on top of the deck. Good to know about that one. They did keep it, to the surprise of no one. I'm going to cast down this cat. I know it can come back, but we're in a damage race. That's all there is to it. And if my opponent has to use 2 cats to trade with 1 Ambusher, I can accept that. And I'm drawing the other ninja this turn. Attack. Moment's Peace. Fuck off. Alright. I guess I'll spell stutter that. That's an annoying card. I can bring back 2 cats here, which could gain 2 life and block one of my creatures. Cast down. Insane Spell Pierce here. Game-winning Spell Pierce. Oh no, you can still do cat stuff. Right, sacking Lembas, getting back a cat. I'm dealing 5 here to their 7 life points. I guess I want to pick up Faerie Seer. That's my worst, or my best fairy to play here. Opponent's at 2. Another Spell Pierce. Do I think that's going to be more helpful than having Faerie Seer in play? We know that Pestilence is in hand. There's a Moment's Peace in the graveyard. Yuck. Alright, I'll play out Faerie Seer and just hope that they don't have a second card. Oh, good Faerie Seer. Bottom 2 lands. Don't want to see that shit. 9-3. If they've set up like a Duress Resolve Pestilence here, they're going to be just fine. Alright, Snaremaster Sprite is dead. Is Double Tithing Blade the new strat? Oh wait, did they bin the Pestilence? Where'd it go? Did they shuffle? Didn't they keep this on top and then now they have no cards in their hand? Oh, Lembas. A Lembas died and shuffled their deck. Okay. Right, I did forget about that. And Spell Pierce can snag this Moment's Peace. That's huge. Can I pay for life here? I go to 5. Ambusher is going to get a lot of it back. They're down to 1 food for their 2 cats. Yeah, let's go. Snuff out that plant token. Here we go. Big swings. Spell Pierce from the top rope. The turn 18 Spell Pierce. Busted. All right, Lemba sacrificed. Cat come back. You go to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you gain life to 8. Out of foods. All right. Counterspell. No cards in hand. Eviscerator's Insight in the graveyard. Is there still one in there? Yes. So they have a couple ways to draw cards from the graveyard. They're also up on clock somehow. How did I allow this to happen? Cauldron Familiar. I don't think that's the fight. Oh, block and then cast Eviscerator's Insight actually fizzles my lifelink. Shit, that might have been bad. All right, Snaremaster Sprite. Your turn to shine, big guy. I'll kick this. They'll turn 19. Snaremaster Sprite. Eviscerator's Insight. There's no food to bring those cats back. Back for 7. What an incredible game this has been. I've been consumed by these sepulchers for so long. Lembas can't afford to fight over it, even though it's insane. Represents another Cauldron Familiar and 3 more life. Pick a Wellspring, off you go. Campfire can reset their deck, so they're not in no danger of decking here, despite having 14 cards left. Insight draws 3 more. Colony Garden. Campfire. Campfire. Very Miscreant. Pre-combat. Draw a card. Find that action. That's not the action. Attack with everything. Plant token block. 2 life. 6 to 4. Another dang Lembas. Pestilence. I've waited my whole life to cast this counterspell. Now I can finally F6. So that means their next spell will get me, if they have a banger left. Oh no, another troll. Almost out of answers to that guy. Well, I am out of answers to that guy. Big draw of 1 mine. Something good. No! After all that, it's going to come down to a troll. A stinky little troll. Yeah, the cats can kill me here. Like, if I hold back, I also lose. And the cats represent lethal here because they deal a damage each on the way in, and then they also attack for 1. Oh, they didn't bring the cats back. Okay. Oh, they don't have to. They could do it after they deal 6 as well. Wow, what a battle! Sweet game. GG's. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the draw in round 3 with a pretty solid hand. I'm in. I've got some 1-drops and some ninjas. That's what the deck does. That's what the deck do, Yugi. A Tron land. Exciting. I'm going to go Faerie Seer to smooth things out here. Counterspell a Ninja of the Deep Hours. I actually don't want this Ninja of the Deep Hours, but I will hold on to the counterspell. I have 2 ninjas already, and mana is my gate, not ninjutsu. Energy Refractor. That turns their Tron lands into real lands. I'm going to attack first in case I draw an untapped island here. Didn't happen. Okay. Little risky. If they assemble Tron right now, I don't love it. Oh no, Natty Tron. All right, am I dead? I'm just going to put some like Muldrifter or some shit in front of me. Pactal Terror. Yeah, when this or another artifact enters, drain your opponent. Yeah, if I was on the play, I could have Spell Pierced this Refractor, and then my opponent's not doing anything, but I wasn't on the play. I don't know if you noticed that. Okay, Island, Faerie Seer. I don't want Seer. I will take the island, and I am going to snap to push here. Untap my lands. Attack. I could do the other one, but I kind of want the counterspell. And I suspect that Spell Pierce has already run its course this game. Okay, pass. Eviscerator's Insight Sacking Expedition map. And their hand must be good. Malevolent Rumble. I'm not fighting over that. Candy Trail, Chromatic Star, and a Power Plant are options. Took the Candy Trail. Oh, it's Alter. This is a common? All right. I'm in for it. Let's go. Oroku Saki. There he is. Attack. Is your spawn worth me looting a card? I'll ninjutsu the other one. I could have picked this one up and then done it with the other one, but I'm kind of valuing the mana here. And MTGO did the thing it always fucking does, which drives me insane, which is it resolved the wrong one first and I didn't have a chance to stack them. Like, I'd rather obviously draw a card straight up before I have to loot a card. Okay. I will not crash out over that because it happens every time, even though it shouldn't. Cast down could kill that Pact Terror in their hand, which means I don't have to hold up Counterspell for it. I think I'm going to dump this Miscreant, and then I'll straight up draw a card off of this one. Oh, look at that. What? Imagine the decisions I could have made if I knew what decisions I was making. Ugh. All right, it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine. I'm enraged, but it's fine. I do want the land, and I do want the Spell Stutter. I should have access to both of them next turn. Okay, I kept the cast down, so I didn't have to counter Pactal Terror. Prophetic Prism. I will accept the drain on Pactal Terror on this one. They are a Tron deck that's showing 6 mana thanks to the Ashnod's Altar, so I have to be careful with when and how I cast spells. Candy Trail, another drain. They just fed the spawn to Ashnod's Altar. Another Prophetic Prism. They're down to 3 mana. All right, I think I'm ready to... No. I'm not going to get weird and greedy now. With Prophetic Prisms, 1 mana floating, sack Pactal Terror in response to Ashnod's Altar, cast Breath Weapon, game. I'm not going to panic here. I mostly care about Pactal Terror as a blocker. Oh, interesting. I think I want to counter this Crop Rotation. That's a huge burst of mana in the middle of this turn. I don't need that shit in my life. I don't need that Taxlessity. I kill Pactal Terror, and then attack with everybody. I will loot away Oroku, and then I'll loot away Island, and play Faerie Miscreant, hold up Counterspell past the turn. One's got 4 cards in hand. Mirror Retriever. Alright, so this is the loop. Mirror Retriever, Sax gets back a different artifact, and then if you have 2 Retrievers and Pactal Terror, you do infinite damage. And I'm going to counter this thing. And shields are down. If I lose here, I am deceased. Eviscerator's Insight, Candy Trail, scryed both to the bottom. Another Energy Refractor. Where's this tower? You hate to see that at the end of the big turn. Okay, there's just gaining life with Candy Trail. Okay, I get another turn with stuff. Of One Mind, 1 mana, Moon Circuit Hacker, and another Of One Mind. I think I'm still of this mind. Another mind. Okay. I'm going to attack with everything. And I guess it's right to pick up Spell Stutter. And these are going to stack wrong. They just go directly on the stack. Yep, it's going right to left. All right. I'll just deal with it. Snare Master doesn't matter. Miscreant actually kind of does matter now. It at least draws a card. It doesn't draw a card better than the other cards in my hand, though. Then I get to draw an actual card with Faerie Seer. And I guess what I'm doing here is just passing with Counterspell up. I don't know why Contaminated Aquifer is phased out. It's not actually phased out. I hope not. It just looks dark. Pactal Terror. 1, 2. I don't have enough fairies. Alright, I'm just gonna aggressively counter that thing, because it does do the passive life gain thing, and have I done enough, or are you gonna wiggle through here? Mirror Retriever. That can make infinite Mirror Retrievers, but that without the terror in play, that doesn't kill me. They need to come up with a few more mana somewhere. Second altar doesn't matter. Okay, I'm getting a turn. Alright, big grip of counter spells here. I don't actually want to play Up One Mind, because if I loot my way into a land, I can hold up triple counter on their next turn, which seems amazing. A Retriever dies, 2 ninjas trigger, Retriever gets back Pactal Terror, loot, discard Faerie Seer, and loot, found a Miscreant. Miscreant draws a card while adding to the battlefield. I don't need to add to the battlefield. Alright, Of One Mind is clearly better than Miscreant. So I didn't hit the bonus land for the maximum counterspells I was hoping for. I'll have to settle at 2, and one of them is a soft counter, because I only have 3 fairies, not the 4 that we know Pactal Terror costs. Eviscerator's Insight first, okay. That's a lot of mana spent. to try to get the pieces together. Okay, cool. Combotron. This is nice. Faerie Macabre coming in. A null coming in. It seems like the creatures I need to kill are black, though Snuff Out doesn't seem great. I wonder if they'll pivot on me and just hit me with an Ulamog's Crusher. I don't know. Extracted Confession seems reasonable to have. Extract being a sorcery, though, won't kill a terror mid-combo, which is kind of what I want out of my life. Oroku Saki actually trades with Mirror Retriever rather than killing it. Oh man, this card stinks. Every time a new dimension of how much worse this card is than Ninja the Deep Hours, it appears in front of me. It just rocks me to my core. Truly horrific. All right, Oroku. And I do need ninjas going to get ahead. I was ninjaing that entire game, and it still came down to really one counterspell on a clutch turn. Okay, I think Oroku is the worst card in the deck. Though Snaremaster Sprite, right, I'll leave one Oroku in and cut one Snaremaster. This is crazy slow, but I think it's okay. There's a lot of cards flowing, and we know my opponent is Combotron, which could take some time to set up, or they have Nattytron again and I lose. Okay, they're not Nattytroning this game. A null. Okay, I think a null is a next turn problem, because if they've played another, if they were actually making Tron here, I would be more worried about it. They took Power Plant and played it. Okay, now I'm worried about a null. Very Miscreant. If this finds an island, we're in business. It did not. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a turn off to leave up interaction. Because if this Moon Circuit hacker misses on the island and I'm just tapped out into their Tron, I'm insanely cooked. All right, here it is. Tutor to Mine. Chromatic Star is not the fight. Made red. Don't like that. If they just breath weapon me, I'm not in a position to fight that. Yep. My weapon's been breathed. Oh, yuck. Well, I'll play Faerie Seer and work my way through this. Ice Tunnel and Island. All right. I think I do want both of these, even though the Ice Tunnel coming in tapped is pretty bad. Conduit Pylons when it enters Surveil 1. I've played this in Standard. I don't think Ashnod's Altar is my fight. Like, I'm worried about Pactol Terrors and Mirror Retrievers. There is a lot of deceiving air in this deck, meaning cards that look scary but maybe actually aren't. Attack with Faerie Seer. I'll hack you the moon. This draws the tap land. And replay Seer. The annul lets me get so cheeky here, where I would normally need to hold up Counterspell. Miscreant to the bottom. I will take the cast down because we've identified Pactol Terror as an essential piece of their combo, and being able to answer it in a way that's not Counterspell is pretty nice. Expedition Map, Conduit Pylons. Okay, so they're using maps here to just get additional card selection. They did put one on top. Refractor's fine. They already have Prism. I can't really take them off. Colors. Prism, another one. Eviscerator's Insight. And they did all that, but still it didn't actually do anything. I think it's safe to loot away one of these Spell Pierces at this point. Is Snap worse than Spell Pierce? I don't think so. Not with all these counterspells. And I can't even really play Of One Mind because I'd just have to discard the cards and it would cost me a counterspell. Candy Trail. Flashback Insight. Sure. Sack the Candy Trail. Cashing in all those artifacts that they paid up last turn. Kajuka Bog. My Faerie Miscreants. No. Really just hitting land drops is insane here. I'm just going to attack. I'm still not even in a position to cast Of One Mind. Loot. Discard Spell Pierce again. I guess I want to cast Of One Mind now. If I hit a land, and I did, that's good enough, and I can discard Snap to hand size. Finding Faerie Macabre is cool. That means I have answers ready to the loop, even if they present it. That gives me options where I might not even need to counter the pieces. And I'm definitely countering Pactol Terror, though. That is the reason for the season here. That's the card that's going to beat me. Okay, filtered into a Red Blast. That can happen. I'll annul this one more time. And then if they fight over it again, I'm probably not going to counter it again, because that's what I kept cast down in my hand for. They scryed top bottom and then immediately decided to draw the card. Power Plant, Rumble, Blood Fountain, sick. Blood Fountain, Haunted Fengraph. A bunch of ways to get that back. Chose the Blood Fountain. Okay, now that we've actually had interactions of one mind is an exciting card to cast. It's not going to cost me anything. And I'll attack with my creatures. I suspect they'll want to trade their spawn for the loot. Right, I guess not. Couldn't imagine them needing more mana than this, but you're in charge over there. Okay, do I want a third counterspell? All right, I'm going to discard the land at this point, and I can afford to up one mind and still have up the same amount of interaction. That's a ninja for next turn. I can get more stuff going. Blood Fountain. Return up to 2 target creature cards. I can macabre anything that would target. Looted away a mine. Expedition map. Insight, sacking the map. And it is cool deck building. That Expedition map gets you Tron, and once you have Tron and you don't need maps anymore, you have these insights to scoot them away. Okay, another big turn of churning their wheels and not doing anything. Those are the types of interactions I'm counting on. A basic island in, attack with both. Okay, choosing to block this time, but I've come up with another ninja. We've seen 2 breath weapons that they've milled past, so that is a card I have to be aware of. Candy trailing now. I can afford to spend a counterspell on this. With only 3 cards in their hand, I think I'll fight over it too. Yeah, counter the weapon again. Could also counter Red Blast, it's the same thing. And then MTGO is going to do my ninjas. Oh good, the bad ninja was blocked. I don't even have to do the rigmarole. But I did have Contaminated Aquifer, I was fine looting away. Alright, 1 counterspell, 1 Faerie Macabre to survive this turn with Tactile Terror. Okay, with 2 cards in hand, I think I have to let this ride. 1 card in hand. Okay, so I'm going to cast down this thing in the end step. And then my opponent's probably going to try to get the 2 terrors back with Blood Fountain, and then Faerie Macabre is going to cook them. Just like we drew it up, literally. I'm going to Fairy Seer before combat, because I'm about to draw 2 cards. Another Macabre and a Hacker. I don't think I want these. Or, okay. I will take a Hacker. Yeah, that's fine. I can plan for next turn where I can reset all my Hackers with the new one. I have enough mana for tricks like that. Loot away Aquifer, loot away a random card, or draw a random card, and then decide what I'm looting away. Fairy Seer is a good candidate. Okay. I like my spot. They have 1 card in hand. I have 3 counterspells in mine. I can handle this Blood Fountain with the Macabre. Fairy Macabre, target Terror, and Terror. Pew pew. This is what sideboards are for, so you don't have to use counterspell on everything. Mirror Retriever. I think I'm gonna stutter this just because they're almost out of stuff to do, and I really want to push my advantage here. Another Red Blast, another Spell Stutter. Shut it all down. And they've had enough. Cool. Yeah, just nickel and dime them. Don't let them get whatever they're trying to do going, and you will eventually win. I have always liked the Fairies versus Tron matchup in basically every iteration of Pauper we've ever had. You just have to make sure you're not trying to push too hard. The temptation to like use counterspell to protect your ninja versus let your ninja die and then use counterspell to stop their payoff. You have to be really disciplined about that, because you will eventually deal 20 damage just by being alive long enough. They actually need multiple pieces of things to go right. And obviously this build in particular is combo-centric, which is really cool. I haven't even seen this before. But identify what they're up to, collapse it while dealing 1 or 2 damage a turn. You'll eventually get there. On to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Receivables has it at youtube.com/TheReceivables. I'm on the draw in round 4. I'm going to keep. I got some seers to smooth it out as I find my path through this game, which hopefully involves a ninja next turn. Hey. Alright, Miscreant to the bottom, Deep Hours to the top. Opponent's got some possible Jund, possible affinity stuff going on over there. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, put +1 counter on that creature. Well, that's a powerful thing. I have a bunch of good answers to a thing like that in my hand, though. I could snap it or lock it down for multiple turns. Just get the ninja in there. There's no dancing around this particular one. Sometimes I won't necessarily ninjutsu on turn 2 if I can protect it with a Spell Pierce on the following turn or something, but my hand doesn't do anything like that. I'm just going in, making them response to my ninja. Nile Spellbomb. When that's sacrificed, the Gitaxian Infiltrator gets larger. Okay, it is a smooth curve to use Snaremaster Sprite here, but I'm going to snap. Because if I can snap this and hold up Counterspell, that's pretty good, but good chance my ninja just dies in response. Okay. All right, they just sack their guy, which means the snap fizzles and I don't get to untap lands, but ninja gets through, which was the point of that exercise. And Faerie Seer. Spellstutter, love to see it. Island to the bottom, Spellstutter to the top, and hope I don't die this turn. Another Infiltrator. I'm out of snaps. I still have some sprites, though. Mapping onto Infiltrator triggers the Infiltrator, and also you get the map bonus. A big old pile of stats on this guy. It's like a baby writhing chrysalis. Okay, I could use this as a setup turn, or I could continue pushing. Like, I could go Faerie Seer, Tip Shot for 1, hold up Spell Stutter, try to hit my land drop next turn kind of thing. Or I could just tap this thing, stun it, get in. I think I'm going to go for the stun. Because the reason to hold up Spell Stutter here is to protect the ninja, but if the ninja can't get through your opponent's 4/3, 5/4, whatever, hugely large creature, then your ninjas, you basically don't have a ninja in play anyway. Attack. Okay. Damage done. I've drawn a card. Hey, it's that awful card that's in my deck. Faerie Seer. I'm just dumping out here. Opponent would have to sweeper me for me to be super bummed about having more things in play. If their next play of the game is Writhing Chrysalis or something like that, I would be much happier having more stuff in play. And this cast down would be great if I had black mana to cast it. I'm bottoming that and putting Moon Circuit Hacker on top and hoping that I don't get Writhing Chrysalis too hard this turn. Yeah, okay, not a Chrysalis. I'll take it. Okay. Eviscerator's Insight main phase on Wellspring. They're looking for that land drop. 8 cards in hand. They do have Drawsforge Bridge. Moon Circuit Hacker is the draw. We knew that was coming. All right, I'm going to attack, and I think I'm going to pick up the Snaremaster Sprite here. Counterspell, land would be great. Yeah, all right, cool. Boy, do I love drawing lands. And now I think it's time to pump the brakes a little bit. They have a 5/4 in play. They're not winning this damage race. And I have a flash blocker if I need it. Like if they do suddenly sacrifice 15 permanents somehow. Perhaps with the help of my favorite Pauper card, Makeshift Munitions. A card that I fucking hate. I don't hate the card. I hate that it is legal in Pauper. Because it's clearly not a common. Cleansing Wildfire, that's fine. Lembas. How cheeky do I want to get here? My opponent at 7 life with very few options and me with 2 counterspells up and 3 more in my hand. I think I should be pushing, fighting over stuff like Lembas. Toxin Analysis gains Death Touch and Lifelink. I don't really want to race that. Krarkland Shaman kills hits creatures without flying. Okay, that kills my ninjas and makes a 7/6. Alright, that's fine. Race is on. That would have been a lot worse if it had lifelink. Right, I can stun their big dumbass here and hold up Counterspell while presenting lethal for next turn. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Yeah, they're just cycling it off immediately. They're in desperation mode here. And we did it. Cool. That was the most tempo Faerie early ninja protected game that we've had yet. And my opponent didn't see any black cards or mana, so they don't even know I'm Dimir. I don't know if that matters, but they don't know I'm Dimir. But Extracted Confession coming in. A Null looks pretty good. Blue Blast, we saw the Cleansing Wildfires and the Kark Clan Shaman. There's at least some red cards in this deck. This looks like a makeshift munitions deck all day as well. Snuff Out does kill Writhing Chrysalis, which is a huge problem. It doesn't kill whatever that card was they played that game. And once again, Oroku, Saki. Sorry, pal. Spell Pierce could be clutch early, but if this game goes crazy long, it won't be very good. Snap looks actually really good. If what their deck is trying to do is slowly grow a small guy into a big guy, resetting that is major. Yeah, the Snuff Outs are pretty annoying because Writhing Chrysalis, clearly a massive problem, and you can't Blue Blast it because it's not actually a red card. Extracted Confession will probably get it if you have evidence to collect. I think I can go less Snuff Out, but not zero, or not that much less. And from here, it's kind of looking like Spell Pierce. And although that was the best game I've ever played in my life for Snare Master Sprite, that was the most I've ever seen this card do in a single game, I still think Shaving One is fine. Okay, here we go. We got the surprise black mana suddenly revealed. Skillfully hit it game one by not drawing any sources to cast my black cards that were in my hand. I'll keep my hand. It's slow, but it's stable. You put it on a mull to 5. I hope I can get something going to punish that. Another tap land. Ooh, the Snare Master. I'll probably just flash in a Spell Stutter in the end step and use that for my ninjutsu business. They cast a 1-drop, it's even better. Alright, this dies to everything, but with the opponent on a mull to 4, I'm going to push the advantage. And now it actually kind of rips. Moon Circuit, Hacker, and they know I have Spell Stutter, so if they try to bolt this, I'll counter that. Hacking right in there. Actual counter spell drawn. Alright, let's hope they were all in on a turn 4 Chrysalis that I can easily remove in a variety of ways. Magic is easy! Yeah, that resolves. This is what Snuff Out is for. And Cast Down. But I'm going to use the Snuff Out, because then I can Spell Stutter and get my other ninja going. This also hides that I have Counterspell in my hand, because that would have been another answer to that. Okay, no blocks. I want that mana for the next Writhing Chrysalis. Alright, untapped land here is a big deal. Resolve the good draw first. Tapped land. And loot a Faerie Seer. Okay. Snare Master Sprite. Is this your world to live in? I don't think so. With the cast down in my hand, I have that sort of activity covered already. Okay, I don't love tapping out here, but I don't have something better to do. I don't need another counterspell. I will take another Moon Circuit Hacker and play land. Alright, hope this turn doesn't punish too hard. Okay, they had the Breath Weapon cashed out on the tap out turn, but that's okay. I'm in pretty good shape to rebuild here anyway. And they still haven't drawn any cards this game. That mull to 5 still, yeah, okay. Cycling off Twisted Landscape. I'll take it. Another Chrysalis. I'm going to use Cast Down on this one. Save my counter spells. Ooh, are we going to get to do multiple things? Cool. All right. I'll counterspell that one. Them having 2 creatures in the same turn is exactly the punish. Okay, do I want to flash out Spell Stutter? No, I'm just going to be patient here. I could have end step Spell Stutter, main phase Cast Down, and then triggered Ninja, drawn a card, and see how things look, but then I'm not in good shape next turn if they have a third tap out banger, like a third Chrysalis, like they're casting right now. Yeah, this one is now an issue. And I really hope they have Red Blast. Okay, nope. Red Blast was not the last card in hand. All right, Spell Stutter, do the thing, I hope. Miscreant. I do like that card. Okay, hacking in here. Uh-oh. The re-hackening. Ninja shit. And they're just conceding to that. Cool. All right. I'll take it. Yeah, beating the triple Writhing Chrysalis Breath Weapon hand feels pretty good with my little blue fairies deck. On to the final round. The NYSE Open is returning on June 6, 2026 to Long Island, New York. This proxy-friendly vintage tournament has the guaranteed prize pool of 8 pieces of Power 9 to be drafted by the top 8 based on final standings. Any additional profits made from the event will be added to the prize pool as on-site vendor credit. This tournament has been great the last 2 years. How often do you get to act sad about winning just a time walk? You know I'll be there. See you at the NYSE Open on June 6 on Long Island, New York. Use my link in the video description or find the New York Stacks Exchange on melee.gg. On the draw in the final round, positive records locked, playing for the bread and butter 4-1. One lander, but it does turn on Snuff Out. And there's Spell Pierce in the hand. I need a second land sooner than later, but I'm not going to mulligan this. And part of that is also related to how I play the deck, which is patiently. If you think you have to like mulligan to 5 to find 1-drop into Ninja, curve out, you're going to lose a lot more games than if you are willing to be patient and just have more cards in your hand. Because a lot of Pauper games do come down to who just has more cards in their hand at some point. Opponent's on the mull to 5. A forest. Ooh, okay. We're playing against Oops. This is the some number of land spy deck. It's usually 5, I think, is the number, but I think 4, 5, and 6 are all represented in the meta. What this deck's trying to do is get all of the lands out of its deck and then cast Balustrade Spy, which flips the deck, and then you can Dread Return Lotleth Giant. All right, deck, for real. This is very important. Don't betray me. Oof size large. Okay, but I will play out this Snare Master Sprite and try to get Moon Circuit going next turn. They can't combo off the way Legacy Oops All Spells does, because there's no Narcomoeba in this format. They do need to actually have 3 creatures in play, and they do that with these various defenders that make mana. My plan is to snuff this thing out, but I can do that anytime. I don't have to do it immediately. Miscreant. I hate that. Okay. This does not have reach. Some of them do. I always have to double check. All right. Big moment to hit a land. So even if I don't, I'm going to snuff out. I still have plays to make. Big draws. Oh my god. Sweet relief. Hit a land drop. Snuff out, you idiot. And do I want another Faerie in play, or do I want Spell Pierce up? I don't think I want Spell Pierce up. I would like to play Faerie Miscreant here. That gets my Ninja the Deep Hours going next turn alongside this Ninja. And like the things that they're going to cast here are probably creatures. Aquarian Ranger. That was a pretty anemic turn, all things considered. I'll attack with both. Do you want to trade your Ranger for this? You do not. And I drew another Moon Circuit, which is great. That lets me leave up mana while I do this. And here I go, looting first, obviously. Oroku's actually not even that bad here, but I'm probably not going to be using him anytime soon. I draw my actual card. Now I have a Spell Stutter for 1, or Snap, or Spell Pierce. Okay. There are some 1-drops in the deck. There's one right there. It's Aquarian Ranger. And then also the Sagu Wildling, the spell part of that card. Costs 1. Encountering a 5-mana dragon for 1 mana is pretty sick. But this is part 2 of what this deck does, which is once the 5 or 6 lands are out of the deck, it becomes, they just have cards that are worth casting, like Avenging Hunter and Generous Ent. They attack with everybody. How many times do you want to take hits from this? How important is that Aquarian Ranger? All right, Aquarian Ranger decided it is no longer important. I'm actually going to Deep Hours the Hacker and reset straight up card draw while leaving up interaction. I'm keeping the Faerie count in play because they have a lot of important 2-drops. Okay, they've simply had enough. So we see 5 forests here. I really only saw 2 Sagu Wildlings and then Axebane Guardian and Aquarian Ranger. At first I thought this was Oops, but it might be just some sort of green defender deck. I don't know. All right, Faerie Macabres are coming in. Extracted Confession coming in. Just maximum removal is good because they do count on their creatures to be their mana because their deck only has 5 or 6 lands in it. I think Snare Master Sprite can chill a little bit. Oroku Saki, sorry, man. Man, you're just so bad. Okay. Yeah, I'll just focus on the blue cards and bring in some graveyard hate and some extra removal. Yeah, rebuilding the sideboard map for this deck is going to be an important project for Plur Warrior and anyone else who's working on this, because I've been cutting the Orokus almost every round, but I wouldn't cut Ninja the Deep Hours every round. So this kind of free cut from your deck won't be there most of the time. My hand is fine, although unsexy. Aquarian Ranger, Snuff Out, cool. All right, that's even more interaction. I'm not just going to rip off Snuff Out on Aquarian Ranger. I think we can do better. Though if their hand only has this one land, the Aquarian Ranger is representing mana. You float one, untap Aquarian Ranger to itself, replay the forest, and that's the way you can play cards that cost more than the number of lands you actually have. But really, until Aquarian Ranger is untapping X-Bane Guardians, I'm not that worried about it. Another forest straight from the hand, Winding Way. Yeah, this is one of their good ones. They hit Ceruli Caretaker, Generous Ent, and Sagu Wildling. Roost to Seek. That's the one. That's the name of the actual card. Okay, Spellstutter Sprite looking good here. Snuff Out looking okay here. I'll stutter that spell. Roost to Seek does cost 1, even though Sagu Wildling costs 5. Bang! That felt amazing. And I know they still have Generous Ent. They could just do other stuff, but still feels good. If they have to use the Ent for that and not cast as Generous Ent later, I'll take it. Yeah, Caretaker, this one also does not have reach. We're in the clear. Aquarian Ranger, doing some damage here. That's fine. Moon Circuit Hacker. Okay, well, that gives me the out to hit an untapped land here and game on. I didn't hit an untapped land, but I did hit a spell I can cast with the one land I do have. And I don't think I'm taking out Caretaker here. It's half a mana dork. It can tap the Ranger for freezies, but then opponent needs another creature before Ranger untaps this. Yeah, something like Axebane Guardian is what I'm really sitting on these Snuff Outs for. Another Ranger, untapping the Caretaker, picking up Forest. This is another 2 mana this turn. And they're passing? Attacking? What are we doing? Just passing. They don't want to trade Aquarian Ranger for Faerie Miscreant. I don't blame you. That Faerie Macabre gives me a lot of comfort in my life, just knowing it's there. Of one mind, fire that off pre-combat. Hit the land drop. I'm happy with that. And I think my plan is just chip shot with Faerie Miscreant here. Or I could draw 2 cards, because I'm not spending 3 mana next turn. I'm spending 2. Yeah, I'll just have one mind again. Snuff Out, banger. I could snuff the Caretaker and see if they want to block with Aquarian Ranger on my Hacker. I am actually going to do this. It's a little aggro, but I am the aggro deck here. It's actually funny, because I am the aggro deck for a little while, and then I'm the control deck. But in the exact mid-game, where they have access to both their combo and their fair plan, that's when they're best advantaged, and I'm trying to condense that part of the game as much as possible. Right, cycling a Generous Ent, that's 2 of those down that I don't have to kill later. But that is 4 lands accounted for. We saw 5 forests game 1, and presumably there's a swamp in the deck. If this is even Spy. Like, I guess it's still possible. This is just some other shit. All right, Shield Wall Sentinel. When this enters, you may search your library for a creature card with Defender. Put it in your hand. All right. 1/3, pretty big. It's good against my ninjas. Searched up Axebane Guardian. So here I'm going to dump out another Spellstutter Sprite. That gives me 3 fairies to counter the Axebane next turn, and it gives me 2 damage in the air this turn. Checking for Secret Reach on this one. Nope, not there. Okay. Island and attack with these 2. And I do have enough mana to Ninja of the Deep Hours, the Miscreant, replay the Miscreant, and have 3 fairies up to counter. Draw a card, extract a Confession. That kills whatever they want it to kill. It is highest power, not highest mana value. A 5th Forest from hand. I'm going to counter this while I still can. Scattershot Archer. That one's pretty nice. Luckily I have the cast down. But that does leave me shields down to a Generous Ent. Just ever. Okay. Cast down this Scattershot Archer. Or hold up. I think I'm going to extract a confession first. No reason to collect evidence. All their things have the same power. I suspect a Quirion Ranger will go here. Yep. And then, yeah, cast down the Scattershot Archer. And then attack with my Flyers and Ninja the Deep Hours. They could double block Ninja, but I'll take Quirion Ranger down with me. I'm cool with that. I suspect they need to pick up a land. Okay, cool. Well, shows what I know. All right, that's a turn. That means in order to cast Generous Scent, there needs to actually be... Oh, wow, there actually is a 6th forest in the deck. I don't think we're playing against the deck I thought we were playing against. This does appear to be just like green walls. Rift of Phantasms, 2 Generous Ends. Is there a 7th forest in the deck? Oh yeah, they're going for it real quick. Okay, so this is not Spy. A thing I did suspect a little bit at the end of game 1, and now is painfully clear, and kind of a problem. All right, or I could just draw stuff out and continue power gaming. The funny thing that this also means is I'm going to cast Faerie Macabre as a 2/2 flyer right now, because that's as good as that's going to get. Yeah, they're just walls combo. The Drift of Phantasms gives it away if the other things didn't. All right, ship it. I will reveal my sad sideboard choice that is actually fine, because it has stats and can go in the air. Generous Ent resolves. Gigantic Reach creature, but that is the last one. There's 3 in the graveyard and that one right there. Miscreant. Hey, I have one of those already. That's a combo. Miscreant plus the other Miscreant. I'm going to hard cast Snuff out because I don't know what their capability of doing damage is like. But I do have lethal on board, even through the food token. They've got 5 cards in hand. One of them is an uncastable Drift of Phantasms. And we did it! Okay, I completely misevaluated what deck they were on, but it didn't matter because I just had good interaction and solid play patterns. And a 4-1 record with Dimir Fairies, Dimir Ninjas, even nerfing myself by playing a new card against Medical Advice. Yeah, reviewing this, the upsides of it being a legend and it being black, were completely irrelevant in all matches of the entire league. It being black for being harder to get online, because black is the splash color, hurt me significantly. It being a 3-1 instead of a 2-2 hurt in multiple situations. I don't want to rule this out and be uncreative and just say it's not an upgrade to this existing deck, because if you aren't a blue deck, like if you aren't stacking it up directly against Ninja of the Deep Hours and you're just like black-red or something, black-white, a color that doesn't have access to the direct competition, I could still see Oroku finding a home in Pauper, but it is certainly not an upgrade to Ninja of the Deep Hours. It's not a replacement to it, it's definitely worse. Maybe you want 5 or 6 Ninja of the Deep Hours. If you want your deck to be a little bigger, having a little more ninjas, maybe like you just don't play Snap or you don't play Spell Pierce and you have 6 payoffs instead. I don't know if that's right. I'm just talking about worlds where Oroku would still make a home, but I would look for Rakdos or Orzhov shells to play with it, because in blue, it is not stacking up to the competition. But even going down 2 cards, replacing 2 of the best cards in my deck with 2 cards that kind of stink, still solid 4-1 record. If you make good choices, you understand what your opponent's up to, save your interaction for the important spells, nickel and dime that damage where you can get it, nickel and dime those card draws, those cantrips where you can get them, and eventually, I mean, we played one game, what was it, turn 18, turn 19, and I still found a spot to cast Spell Pierce. That was awesome. I love this deck. I love Spellstutter Sprite. I love Ninja the Deep Hours. I've been playing these 2 cards together for as long as they've both been legal, which is since Lorwyn was printed. And I was playing Ninja the Deep Hours even before that. This is my sweet spot in this format. Love this shit. Plur Warrior, I hope this was fun to watch. Everyone else, thanks for watching as well. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I will see you next time.